This briefing will dissect the new battlefield of narrative warfare. This is a place where perception is a weapon, and the fight is for control over the public's very belief system.
Now you might hear this and think it sounds a little over the top, but let me be clear. This isn't hyperbole. This is the operational environment we now face. It's a landscape where truth itself is under a constant, coordinated, and technologically sophisticated attack.
So, to really get a handle on this chaotic information landscape, we're going to walk through two recent, and I mean very high-profile case studies. These will reveal the exact tactics and, more importantly, the objectives of our adversaries.
Okay, think about this. Two major events, two official stories from the government, and then two completely viral alternative realities that just ripped through public trust. We're going to analyze the assassination of political activist Charlie Kirk and then the rumored death of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is how we're going to understand the nuts and bolts of this new kind of conflict.
So let's start with our first case study, the tragic assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk back on September 10, 2025. I mean, this event immediately became a flashpoint for two totally competing narratives.
So, what did the official investigation find? Well, the FBI, led by Director Kash Patel, built what looked like a really straightforward case. They had solid forensic evidence, right? The suspect, Tyler Robinson, was linked by DNA on the rifle and a screwdriver on the rooftop. They even found a manifesto, a destroyed note that made his intent crystal clear. The official stance? Zero. And that's a direct quote, zero credible reason to think any foreign governments were involved.
But here's where it gets complicated. That official narrative was immediately, and I mean immediately, challenged by some very high-profile figures. We're talking about the director of the National Counterterrorism Center at the time, Joe Kent. He went public, basically insinuating that there was a deeper conspiracy and that his people were told to stand down.
And this right here, this is the absolute core of narrative warfare. You have a direct clash. On one side, you've got forensic fact from the FBI. On the other, powerful insinuation from a senior government official. Now, why is this tactic so effective? Well, it plays on a cognitive shortcut. See, when a figure of authority raises doubts, it gives the public, well, permission to disbelieve the hard evidence. And just like that, you create this deep, unbridgeable gap in how people see the same event.
Okay, so that's the first case. This pattern of bending reality, of questioning the facts, it gets even more intense when we look at our second case study, the viral Netanyahu conspiracy. This thing just exploded during the first phase of Operation Roaring Lion.
So get this. The initial claim, which was pushed hard by pro-Iranian media, was that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had been killed and replaced by an AI deepfake, an AI clone. And the proof for this absolutely extraordinary claim? It wasn't some classified intelligence or a secret leak. Nope. It was something far more accessible, far more viral. A single, bizarre, anatomical anomaly that anybody with a smartphone could see, screenshot, and share.
And what was it? Well, viral videos started popping up everywhere, and they all seemed to show Prime Minister Netanyahu with 6 fingers on one hand. Online communities they latched onto this immediately. To them, this was the smoking gun, definitive proof of AI generation. You know, a classic telltale sign of a digital deepfake.
But was it? So what this slide shows is how easily a simple optical illusion, made worse by digital compression, can be turned into a weapon. See, the low-res viral image looks like a 6th finger. But when you look at the high-resolution forensic analysis, it's just the fleshy part of the palm, the hypothenar eminence. This taps directly into something called apophenia. That's our brain's natural tendency to find patterns in random noise. It makes a simple video glitch feel like a deliberate clue. Suddenly, the cornerstone of a global conspiracy turns out to be, well, just the side of a guy's hand. So, here's the crucial point. When that 6-finger evidence gets debunked, does the narrative die? Absolutely not. It adapts, it pivots. The new claim becomes, oh, the new video is also a fake. And then they find new evidence, a forged screenshot of a deleted tweet or a ring that seems to disappear from his hand for a split second. It's a relentless adaptive strategy designed to keep the core conspiracy alive no matter what.
Okay, this all raises a critical question for us in national security. Were these viral rumors just, an organic expression of public skepticism, or were they something else? Were they a manufactured, coordinated digital attack?
Well, what we observed was a textbook case of narrative warfare. Intelligence analysis from firms like Cybra shows that these campaigns aren't random at all.
They follow a clear, repeatable, and frankly, very effective operational pattern.
And here's how it works. It's a 4-step life cycle. First, you fabricate evidence, something that looks credible, like the six-finger illusion or a fake tweet. Second, you amplify it with bots. You use automated networks to blast the content out all at once, hijacking the platform's algorithms. Third, once it starts trending, you legitimize it. You get high-profile influencers and commentators to share it, giving it this veneer of authority. And fourth, and this is key, when it gets debunked, you just pivot. You shift the narrative to a new piece of evidence to keep the momentum going. It's not a grassroots movement, it's an industrialized process designed to manufacture doubt at scale.
So what does at scale look like? Well, look at this number, 145 million. That's the number of views generated by these coordinated pro-Iranian networks in just the first 2 weeks of the conflict. The sheer scale of that is staggering, and it shows you the power these campaigns have to just completely dominate the information space. And where is this happening? The operation's heavy focus on TikTok, 65%, is strategically brilliant in a way. They're targeting a platform where engagement algorithms, not factual accuracy, determine what you see. That makes it the absolute perfect vehicle for viral disinformation.
Right, so this isn't just about weird internet theories or memes. This is not just an online curiosity. This sophisticated campaign has tangible, real-world consequences for our national security, for public trust, and for international stability.
This flood of disinformation creates this fertile ground for official-sounding narratives to take hold, like this one from Joe Kent's viral resignation letter. He frames the war not as a matter of national security, but as something President Trump was pushed into by foreign manipulation. See how the online conspiracy suddenly provides a foundation for a real-world political narrative?
And the strategic impact is huge. First, it erodes public trust, faith in our government institutions, the military, the media, all of it. It also shapes political discourse, right? It lets public figures use these totally unverified claims to drive policy debates. On a global scale, it creates friction between allies by pushing these narratives of manipulation. And ultimately, it just sows chaos and confusion, making it so much harder to find diplomatic solutions in places like the Middle East. The primary goal here is to fracture our shared reality, because when that happens, our ability to form a coherent national strategy fractures right along with it. And that's the central battleground of perception. You have the official justification for the military operation, Operation Warring Lion, stated right here by PM Netanyahu, to stop Iran from getting nukes and ballistic missiles that threaten everyone. And that stands in direct head-to-head conflict with this alternative narrative that the whole thing is just an externally manufactured war.
So here's the bottom line. The crucial point to take away is that we've moved way beyond simple fake news. We are in a much more complex, much more dangerous environment where the very idea of verifiable truth is at risk.
We are in what was called a disinformation apocalypse. It's a world where AI-generated content and state-sponsored campaigns are actively competing with reality itself. And the convergence of all these technologies and tactics, it presents an existential challenge, not just to our intelligence services, but to the very foundation of how a democracy makes evidence-based decisions. Which leaves us with this fundamental question we now have to contend with. In an era of perfect AI, is truth still a matter of evidence, or is it simply a contest of who can tell the most dominant story? In this new kind of conflict, victory may not go to the side with the most firepower, but to the side that can most effectively shape reality itself. That concludes this briefing.